He looks pretty happy, huh? Disgusting. You are not going to believe this. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we've got Mark Carney pissing off the CBC. That's right, the reporters that travel along with Mark Carney all the way from Ottawa to India and then down to Australia, then finally to Japan. You would expect they'd be able to ask the guy questions, but he's not giving them this opportunity, and the CBC is revolting against him. We got Pierre Poilievre on Peter Mansbridge's show. We also have some updates from the conflict in Iran. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off, we got some new polling data. Shreya sharing this BC Palace data for the BC federal election. And what do we see? A huge gain here by the BC Conservatives, nearly tying the NDP. David Eby needs to go. And you'll see One BC is splitting the vote here a bit, 5%. Also, the Green Party, 11%. Looking at the polling data like a month or two ago, it wasn't even close. This is important because getting a pipeline built, we need to get rid of David Eby. Not to mention giving over land to Musqueam Nation, Vancouver, all that. We need a strong BC premier to push back against that nonsense. Moving ahead, we've got Pierre Poilievre over in the UK, meeting with business leaders, having a good time, meeting with some people. Says here he spoke with British parliamentarians, business leaders tonight about the immense opportunity of a new partnership with the UK, New Zealand, and Australia for closer ties on trade, security, boosting growth, that kind of thing. What's really going to happen here is Poilievre's going to have all this footage of him talking with these leaders, and this is going to get put into the UK media, and the UK media then will hopefully put this out in an honest manner and not just be slagging him like CBC does. And since the CBC doesn't exist in the UK, it'll get some positive coverage. With that, Poilievre going on Peter Mansbridge's show. Numerous different clips here. This is a 45-minute interview. I'll just show you a few clips, starting with this one on the Trump tariffs.
All those things will give us a leverage, and I would use that leverage to negotiate my singular objective, which is that we have tariff-free access to the states while remaining a sovereign economy and country.
And you think that leverage could do that? Tariff-free.
That's the goal. You start with the most ambitious possible goal. I don't know why the Carney government is conceding or waving the white flag in accepting that there will be permanent and unfair and unreciprocated American tariffs on Canadian goods. I would rather go to the United States and say, look, these are the things that you need that we have, and you're only getting them if we get what we want, which is we want to be able to sell our products into the biggest and most lucrative economy the world has ever seen.
Throughout that interview, he mentions a bunch of them there, whether it's F-35s, oil, you name it, all the typical stuff, right?
There's another area that you made pretty clear in your speech that you fundamentally disagree with Mark Carney, and that's over China. What is the issue there? What is the problem? Carney says there's a rupture in the relationship with the U.S. Part of the way of making up for that is opening the doors to China. You don't agree with that. Why not?
It's not that I object to opening the doors to talking trade and diplomacy with China. We should be talking with everybody. The Chinese make up a magnificent civilization, and there's a lot that we can benefit from each other, but there's just no way that we should proceed with a permanent rupture with our biggest customer that buys 3/4 of our exports and our closest neighbor in favor of what Mr. Carney calls a strategic partnership for a new world order with Beijing, a regime that Mr. Carney himself said was the biggest threat to Canada only a year ago.
This is really smart. So what he's doing here, using the same language as Carney, the rupture, it makes him feel more familiar. It makes him feel more approachable because Carney keeps using that word over and over. This is a smart communication strategy, probably coming from Steve Outhouse.
So if we have to choose, our bigger customer, where we sell 20 times more to the Americans than we sell to China. And that is not going to radically change overnight. So we cannot sacrifice our relationship with our biggest customer in favor of a tenuous and risky partnership for a new world order with the regime in Beijing.
That's so well said. We shouldn't be sacrificing our American relationship for the risky regime in Beijing. The comments in here are just so vile. A bunch of crazy liberals. Hey, Skippy, don't even know why you're still given airtime. I guess there's nothing important going on. They need to fill some dead air. What kind of comment is that? Comment on what he's saying there. Not to mention what's going on in Iran right now. There's plenty of stuff happening in the news. Now, before we jump over to CTV, where Vasti Kapelos talks to Peter Mansbridge about his interview with Pierre Poilievre. I thought this was a great little segment here right at the very end. So basically, Peter Mansbridge says, thanks for coming on, and they end it there. And then this happens.
Fascinating conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. And it's good to talk to you. Hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mansbridge.
You can call me Peter.
Well, I would have, but you called me Mr. Poilievre, so I didn't want to be presumptuous.
You're the leader of the opposition. His
That means
Majesty's loyal opposition.
It's the worst damn job in the country. You should be calling me by my first name. I'm a mere commoner, after all.
That's pretty fun, loose, and real. So jumping over to CTV, Vasi talking to Peter Mansbridge. Some interesting takeaways here. And just remember, this is what's getting pushed out across Canada.
So these two things intersect at the same time. And in that interview, you see him dealing with a lot of those issues, or trying to deal with them. The issue is going to be, how real is this new Pierre Poilievre?
And how real did you feel it was?
I thought he was pretty real. Every once in a while, the old Poilievre would come out in the interview, but there were so many times where it didn't. Right out of the gate, he walked away from the possibility of an election. Now, some would say, well, that's not surprising. He's losing in the polls, but you don't have to say it. And he was pretty clear. I don't want an election now, and it's time to work together. And he, and then he talked about his feelings towards Carney, which seemed to have come out as a result of that trip to Tumbler Ridge a few weeks ago. Two fathers on the plane talking about a terrible incident involving kids, and they found common ground. You don't want to go too far with that, and he kept making a point there are fundamental issues we don't agree on. But now's not the time for that. And he made the argument, now's the time for a sense of unity and working together. And, he said he'd offered up the idea of him going to Washington and meeting with people. And he was waiting for the prime minister to say yes or no on that.
Yeah, so Pierre is willing to go down to America and talk to Trump or J.D. Vance, whoever the Carney administration wants him to go meet with, which is very interesting.
He also talked about talking to people outside of those who already agree with him. And I wondered what you thought about the idea of doing that, what your assessment of the potential effectiveness of that is.
I think it's smart. In a way, he was sitting across from somebody who'd been at the CBC for 50 years. And we all know his feelings about the CBC.
On that, I should note, I grew up watching Peter Mansbridge, and it's kind of sad to see on his podcast, he has so many liberals that come on. He's basically surrounded by liberals, and I get it. He's friends with these people. He's on the CBC for 50 years. But CBC wasn't always corrupt. It wasn't corrupt when I was a kid. That's more in the more recent years. And I wonder, with liberal Canadians watching Peter Mansbridge, seeing how he thinks Poilievre is being genuine in the interview, and it was a good interview, and seeing that interaction, does this warm up at least the swing voters to vote Conservative next time? Carney's clearly not getting the job done. Obviously, he's just stuffing his own pockets with cash at this point with all the Brookfield deals that he's doing.
Well, in a sense, it was kind of a breakthrough, because I think it's really important that any politician, no matter their stripe, makes themselves available to all interviewers within reason. And I think it was smart for him to do this particular interview. He's got a lot of attention as a result of it. But I think it's any politician's got to do that if they want to get their word out beyond their committed base. They've got to talk to everybody, and that's not to say that me or you or Rosie Barton at CBC or any number of different journalists are somehow against Pierre Poilievre. We're all just journalists asking questions, and he should be.
That's not a fair statement. I mean, Rosemary Barton just the other day saying it's all made up. They clearly push liberal propaganda. Is he stuck in this weird position of denial where he doesn't want to admit what he sees on the CBC? I mean, come on.
Be able to sit down across from any of us. We all have different ways about, asking questions. We all have different styles. And that's good for him to meet those styles.
Unfortunately, whenever he goes on mainstream media, it's just slanderous attacks over and over and over. But when bad things happen for Carney, they're not talking about that, or it blows over in a day or two. I mean, look what's happening in the media right now. Mark Carney getting wrapped up with all the stuff from India. CSIS report saying that there's still stuff happening from India. Mark Carney's like, I don't care. Let's sweep that under the rug. I got big Brookfield deals to do. Doesn't matter about all that stuff. And then what does Carney do? He doesn't take questions from reporters. And while we're talking about that, because that is such a major issue for reporters and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, that fly across the world to be with Mark Carney to get their 1 or 2 questions in every stop, and then Carney cancels it. It's like a big middle finger to these reporters, and they've noticed it. You have got to check this out. We have Janice McGregor from the CBC, as in the woke Janice McGregor. This lady, she's one of the wokest ones of them all, pushing Carney propaganda 24/7 on the CBC. She posts this, which I thought I would never see. So to preface this, we've got this post here. Miss Nita and Mr. Mukesh Ambani hosted Prime Minister of Canada and the Right Honourable Mark Carney and Miss Diana Fox Carney at their home in Mumbai for a warm and gracious afternoon. The gathering celebrated India's rich artistic traditions through folk music and classical dance performances, reflecting a shared appreciation for heritage, friendship, and cultural exchange. So here we have Mark Carney going to this guy's personal residence. This guy's big business. We'll get to him in another video, but a family visit to their home. And this is what Janice McGregor from the CBC posts. Interesting to learn about this visit with one of India's richest and most powerful families on social media instead of, say, official itinerary information provided to Canadian media. She's pissed off because this wasn't even in their itinerary. She did not know about this, especially on a trip where not even a short scrum has been afforded to traveling reporters. When you have the woke Janice McGregor pissed off at Carney because he is not transparent about where he's going and what he's doing, you know that there's trouble in paradise. Like, I can't believe this tweet here. I'm sure you'll call him out on CBC soon, and yet you kiss his butt. The mainstream media finally waking up to Carney, the grifter. Now you have to say the exact same thing to Carney and ask him the most important question: why? Janice, he's not that into you. When was the last time your legacy media held the PM to account instead of the opposition? He does it because he knows you'll let him get away with it. This is unreal. Now, jumping back to this interview here.
The Liberals are ever in danger of preemptively writing Mr. Poilievre off?
Well, it'd be dangerous for them to do that if they did. I mean, look, let's face it. You know, a year and a half ago, everybody's writing the Liberals off. Things can change. And people should be aware of that. I mean, I think his decision to come flat out and say no election this spring really does put it to the Liberals that if there's going to be an election, the only reason there's going to be one is because they want one and they called it. It's not going to be because he got in the way, because he says he won't get in the way. That the primary issue right now is a sense of, unity on the party front in this one issue of dealing with the Americans. Now,
Pierre even mentioned, I don't think Canadians want a costly $500 million election, so that sticks it straight on Carney's shoulders if he calls an election.
There are differences on what the approach, they want to take, but it's clear that he wants to find some common ground between, especially him and the Prime Minister. And it looks like they may find that. There are many Liberals, as you well know, Vashi, who want to have an election. They want to have one this spring. It's going to be hard for them to do that now.
Vassie's face changed when he said they'll find common ground to work together, so I don't think she really believes it. We'll see what happens. Pierre's making it hard for Carney right now to try to call an election. And there's a comment here that sums up this interview. Vassie was pretty quiet when it wasn't Pierre Poilievre bashing. Not sure what to read into this, just oddly quiet. We're all just journalists asking questions. Is that a joke? Yeah, I mean, come on. Rosemary Barton, Cochrane are not journalists. They spent a lot of time talking about Pierre. I mean, the interview was about Pierre, and it says here not so much about the LPC behavior in committee or bills before the House and how they will affect Canadians. I mean, they never talk about how bad things are with the Liberals, Carney's behavior, none of that. Happy to see this change. Hope it's more than just political opportunism. We need a constructive opposition and more voting options. So this is a swing voter here. Rosie, it's all made up, Barton, really? She's so impartial. I mean, isn't that the truth? Moving into the conflict with the Middle East, we have America bombarding Iran, and what have they done in return? They have launched their pow-pows and have hit 14 different countries in one night. Their goal here is to piss off as many other countries as possible. A lot of these ones they have relations with or had relations with. This is the dumbest thing they could have ever done. We've got Israel, 9 people have perished. UAE, they hit one of the major towers. Dubai, they hit the airport concourse. In Bahrain, they hit the U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters, as well as an apartment block. Kuwait, they hit airport terminal. Qatar, they hit the El Udeidi air base, which is why the Americans moved all their troops out of there. In Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, I believe they hit a U.S. embassy or some sort of U.S. facility, and Trump is going to retaliate on that. that. In Jordan, ballistic missiles intercepted, burning debris rained down in civilian areas. In Iraq, U.S. military bases across the country targeted. Oman has been struck by Iranian missiles. Syria targeted in the wave. Cyprus, RFA, Akrotiri, UK base directly hit by Iran. So UK is now being pulled into this, as well as France. Camp de la Piax in the UAE has been struck. And for Italy, they have NATO camp in Ali Al Salem in Kuwait bombed. So this is their plan, is to bring in all these other countries now, which is exactly what's happening. And I should note, for the most part, this seems to be accurate. What's posted here, I've tried to verify this stuff, but the information coming in, it's hard to verify stuff. So with all of that said, we've got Germany here. They've deployed troops to the Middle East. They will defend themselves if attacked. We have 4 Greek F-16S to land in Cyprus. We have the US has sunk the Iris Shahad Bahari drone carrier, basically their aircraft carrier. So here's some kind of photos from this. Apparently, America has sunk a whole bunch of, if not all of their big naval ships. We've got B-1 bombers now being deployed to strike deep inside Iran. These things are crazy. And here's another shot of the B-1 bombers. We've got Greece is now sending 2 frigates and 2 F-16 jets to Cyprus after Iranian drone strikes struck a UK base. I mean, they're bringing everyone in. Iran's strategy is terrible. We've got Qatar joining against Iran. Qatar's Ministry of Defense says its air force shot down 2 Iranian Su-24 fighter jets, intercepted 7 ballistic missiles, and downed 7 drones launched from Iran. There's reports of 3 F-15 pilots that have friendly fire and have taken each other down, and I believe this is one of them, who landed in Kuwait. We've got a female American pilot here being rescued by one of the citizens.
Really? You need something to help you? No problem, you're safe. You're safe, you're safe. Everything good? No problem. Thank you for helping us. Everything perfect?
It's amazing. What hospitality, ejecting from your plane, and that's what you're met with. Meanwhile, we have US and Israel have bombed Iran's Iraq nuclear reactor. Here's a shot of that missile hitting this luxury skyscraper. This is in Bahrain. Apparently, this was housing senior U.S. military command personnel. Here's a shot of Iranian drones. So this is how they're attacking. They have these little tiny drones that just come flying out. I believe they knocked this off of the Americans. Americans came up with this first, and I think the Russians ripped this off, and now the Iranians. We've got a video here. Saudi Arabia shuts down one of the world's largest oil refineries, Ras Tanura, following Iranian drone strike. So this is going to make the price of oil go up, unfortunately. Jumping over to Fox News, we've got NATO Secretary Mark Rutte has just stunned Democrats, coming out in 100% support of Donald Trump's Iran triumph.
First of all, say that my thoughts are with the service members, the U.S. service members who made the ultimate sacrifice over the last couple of days. And let me also say that the commander-in-chief, the leader of the free world, President Donald J. Trump, I really commend what is happening here. Taking out Khamenei, taking out the nuclear capability in Iran, but also taking out the ballistic missile program in Iran. This is crucial. And what I see in Europe, I spoke with all the key European leaders over the weekend, is widespread support for what the president is doing, and also making sure that when it comes to logistics, access, defending key U.S. interests in Europe and in the region, the Europeans are really stepping up.
Yeah, this is the right message here coming from the NATO Secretary General. Get rid of this Iranian threat off of planet Earth. Wow, even NATO is backing Trump. I mean, Mark Rutte is a little different than the rest of NATO, although he is the Secretary General, but he doesn't hold the same opinion as a lot of the other ones often. Moving ahead, I thought I'd just throw this clip in. We've got Bill Clinton testifying. He's been given a stack of photos printed out of him that are in the Epstein files. We've got his lawyer here. Just look at this.
Okay.
Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes.
He looks pretty happy, huh? Disgusting. He's kind of senile, so I don't think he's really holding back his emotions here.
It's remaining in the majority's first hour, so I just want to ask you some questions related to the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell.
I don't think there's anything to laugh at in the Epstein files, but I'm not in them, so what do I know? I mean, yeah, this is gross. Moving ahead, we've got President Trump saying the big wave of strikes on Iran hasn't happened yet. Sometime in the next 24 hours, they're going to feel the real power of America, and they have some new weapons that nobody knows about, jamming systems and all sorts of other stuff.
It's not safe out there. And then the president said, it's about to get even less safe. He said, quote, "We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon."
Big one's coming soon. Meanwhile, we've got planes landing on the USS Abraham Lincoln. And this account here pointing out that it's odd that Iranian regime said they blew it up, but that's difficult considering the planes keep landing on it. This is unbelievable. All this technology and the skill of the pilots to be able to hit the hook onto this cable to land is unreal. It's always nice to see them come back empty. Yeah, no bombs. Meanwhile, we've got Qatar shoots down 2 Iranian jets, as I mentioned earlier, that have entered its airspace. So Qatar not messing around.
We learned from Qatar's defense ministry the country shot down 2 Iranian jets that entered their airspace. We know that they've been receiving attacks from the Iranians, and they have been taking action not only now to shoot down jets, but also incoming ballistic missiles.
What is Iran doing? Can anyone figure this out? Why would they go after Qatar? It doesn't make any sense.
A threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it.
What's interesting about that, getting bored? Well, apparently on X, I saw Elon Musk's head of product for X tweet out that yesterday was the busiest day on X ever. There's nothing boring with what's happening over in Iran right now. As we have France, Germany, and the UK joining forces to build long-range missiles, Macron announced
that they will be acquiring this new system, and regarding strikes in depth, Germany, the UK, and France, under our ELSA initiative, will work together on long-range missiles. This will provide us new options to manage the escalation with conventional means.
Well, I just had a conversation a little while ago with the deputy foreign minister, and basically he said the same thing. He seemed to be implying they'll attack as long as they're being attacked.
Right.
Can they do it? Does Iran have that kind of?
Oh, Iran could go for months. At the rate that they're going, they're still manufacturing missiles and drones. Let's not forget that. They still have manufacturing facilities going. So the missiles and drones that they're firing right now, they're backfilling. U.S. doesn't have that kind of capacity for backfilling anti-aircraft missiles.
And what are
the question is, what if the U.S. hits the manufacturing facilities or where they're storing all this stuff? That's what it comes down to. IRGC drone facility was just destroyed by U.S. airstrikes. Not sure if that's true or not. I mean, it's hard to tell with any of these posts, really, but aside from the official ones, here we've got an official one from CNN saying new satellite images show the aftermath of multiple Iranian ships were completely annihilated by the U.S. military.
We're seeing now some new images coming in of current destruction from the joint U.S. and Israeli strikes across Iran. We're also getting in some new satellite images. I mean, you take a look at what you're seeing here. This is dark plumes of smoke rising from multiple burning Iranian ships at a military harbor. President Trump has spoken about this. He said today that one of the U.S. goals in these operations, such that have been vaguely defined, is to annihilate Iran's Navy. He talked yesterday about 9 ships in their Navy, saying that the job is essentially done and that they were at the bottom of the sea. But today, while sticking with the goal, seemingly indicating that it is not complete.
So that's where things are right now. America and all the other allies here. I mean, you see here multiple direct strikes here.